Hello and welcome to Xena, Warrior Podcast. My name is Vera and I am joined as always by my two martial co-hosts, Katie.
Hello.
And Livy.
Hello.
At ease. Today we're talking about 405, a good day. And
a good day to you,
and
too.
a good day to you. Katie, to you as well.
Thanks.
Shall we just go right to it?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
This one's very juicy. Mm-hmm. Written by Steve Sears and directed by our new fave, Rick Jacobson.
Rick. He's pretty great.
Yeah. So Steve is continuing his series that he's been building, the Caesar saga.
It's true, yeah. Direct sequel, it feels like, to When in Rome.
And overall series, the Gabrielle journey of warriorness.
Yeah, Gabrielle and violence continues.
Yeah. This episode begins with a Greek village, and it's full of women and children, and that is being sort of like rummaged through and attacked.
Just rummaged shit around,
Throwing shit around
Yeah.
by a bunch of Roman centurions.
The Romans are pissed because actually the village has already been sacked by Pompey.
Right, we find out these guys are Caesar's men. And so Caesar and Pompey are now at war.
But for some reason, they are waging their war in Greece.
Right.
Just to be extra shitty. They've brought their civil war out of Rome into Greece. That is actually how Pompey and Caesar historically waged their battles, as they weren't allowed into Rome. So they were just doing all this campaigning, like in Africa and in Greece. And Macedonia, is that separate from Greece? IDK, Egypt. They fought in Egypt.
Egypt is definitely separate.
And that's where Pompey died, was Egypt.
Right.
Spoilers. No, I'm
Sorry.
just kidding.
That is not what happens in the show.
Yeah, no, it is not.
You. So yeah, I feel like this is similar to When in Rome in that Steve has clearly done a lot of research. He's using a lot of kind of the political situation in Rome, that, you know, interesting tension between Pompey and Caesar, but kind of exploiting it for his own storyline. There wasn't really a big drag-out battle in which both forces were decimated. Spoilers for what actually ends up happening in this episode. But, like, I feel like the way that he inserts Xena into this is really cool. And I immediately was, like, so just pissed off at both these dudes for, like, taking their boy shit onto, like, Xena's turf. I was just like, fuck them both.
Okay, so there's a woman that we're introduced to. She's a child, and she's talking to the head centurion, Goon, and he's like, where's all the shit? And she's like, Pompey's men already took all the shit, like you said, Olivia. And her husband is fighting for Rome, for Caesar. And you're like, what?
Record
yeah,
scratch?
Yeah, exactly. That's weird.
He's Greek.
Exactly. So we're now introduced to the concept that there's a Greek mercenary outfit that Caesar is employing. They should be somewhere else or whatever, but that doesn't matter. The dude is like, oh, your husband, he's a good soldier, so he'll totally understand the punishment for being a traitor. And javelins, let's kill all these ladies and children right now.
He'll get it.
Yeah, he'll totally get it. Just as they were about to javelin these people, in the nick of time, enters her husband. He rides in on a horse and he's like, Centurion, stop.
This dude is played by a Renpix fave.
Stephen Lovett.
Stephen Lovett,
yes.
who will go on to play Hades.
Hades 2, very soon, I think.
Yeah. Does that mean we've seen the last movie of Hades 1 already?
I think we might have.
think we
But I mean, he
have.
went gloriously.
Yeah, that was quite a last. Bitchily rode off on that chariot forever.
Yeah, I have a, we'll get to my feelings on Hades 2. But right now, Stephen Lovett is perfect as Flanagan.
He is.
Flanagan or Flanagan?
Flanagan.
Flan.
We just call him Flan.
We call
so.
him Flan. Because he's classy. I think he's great in this episode in that you immediately get a sense that, like, despite this guy literally working for Caesar for money, he's, like, a very decent guy. Like, you just like him. He's one of those actors who just has a very likable on-screen presence, which is funny because then
Spartacus.
Yeah, then he's on Spartacus where he's like the biggest asshole of the assholes.
I think he plays villains really well.
Yeah.
Not Hades,
He's
though.
good antagonizing on
Yeah.
Ash, too.
Yeah, that he
Yeah,
is.
that's
he
what I
is,
mean, yeah. Did you guys catch his wife's name?
No.
The
It's
closed
Lady.
caption said Amanda.
Right? But
But
wasn't
that is completely wrong.
that was so weird.
Whoosh
Whoosh?
has her
It's
name
Nogalin,
as,
right?
yeah, Nogalin.
I call her Lady.
Which is nothing like Amanda. Like,
Why
what
did-
did the captions
No,
here?
but he literally said Amanda.
Well, what
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Now I'm
What
just
does
confused.
the whoosh list say about the little dude's name?
Little dude is credited as D. Rimus.
No, not the
not
son.
son.
The
Oh.
the proto
Temecula
Gabs- with a C.
yeah.
The subtitles on Hulu are bad for him as well because this is like Temecula with a G.
At
Right.
one point, but not
And
all the
at
time.
other
Oh, really?
points,
Yeah.
I think I wrote it down in my notes as Temeculus because that at one point was
Yeah.
it. So I feel like we're gonna get all the names for everybody wrong this
Right.
week
The
on the
subtitles on
podcast.
Hulu didn't have the "Oh Sweetheart" in a family affair, so they can just go fuck themselves.
We are going to write a very impassioned letter to whoever writes the closed captions for Hulu.
So Flan comes and he's like, "Hey, y'all,
Hey.
hey,
That's my
stop
wife. Oh no,
it."
he doesn't even say that's
Yeah.
my wife and son. He's just like, hey, what you doing?
Yeah, and Centurion's like, "I'm not listening to you. You're Greek."
But he outranks him,
Right.
which I thought was a cool fact, that actually this Greek mercenary, this hired hand, has risen higher in the ranks than this other dude. Did you think other dude was hot?
No,
I don't remember.
No,
I thought he could get it. He was
No,
tall.
I can't remember.
no.
Honestly.
He had good hair, kind of chiseled. It was a good look. I don't know.
All right, that's your favorite Centurion.
We
that
all
dude.
we all have our fave goods.
Yeah, totally. I shouldn't say anything because I have so many. So Olivia's favorite Centurion, who can get it from Olivia, is going to proceed with the javelining of everyone, including now Flan. But then a chakram comes and cuts off the points of all the javelins.
All the dicks.
All the dicks get cut off right then and there.
Castration. Yeah.
Film school.
And Xena proceeds to enter the room as I do, which is a straight cannonball flip.
Always.
Vera, so annoying when you do that.
Yeah.
I
And
love her entrance.
she fucking lands right next to Flan and is like, "Xena, hello."
It's so good.
Why? Why so flirty? Why so
I
flirty?
don't know. It's so fun though. Who cares? So fun.
Yeah, so they meet. That's how they meet.
So that's definitely a meet cute.
Yeah. And then a fight, proceeds because Xena's in the room now, and we gotta fight these goons.
She does
I used-
a lot of good cat screams.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, this was the ultimate.
She's just like,
I used literally all of the chakraming in this in my vid because I was
Oh,
looking at it. I was
yeah.
like, oh,
Uh-huh, yeah.
This
No,
is all
there's-
from here. There's so much
this
fights from here.
is the
'Cause
best
Guess
fights.
what? Good fights.
Yeah.
I think Rick Jacobson, the
Yeah.
director, is really good at capturing them slow-mo hair whips.
Why
yeah.
do you
This is the
think he's our
ultimate.
new fave?
Rick.
Can you splice in the SNL of that? No?
We can use it as a gif.
Okay.
So there's an interesting point where a centurion throws a javelin at Gabrielle and she like baseball hits it away.
Yeah, that was
great.
impressive.
She's good in this
Yeah.
staff fight. So good. Oh, and Xena
does
staff
the
fighting,
staff
which
fights.
she doesn't usually do.
That's
It
a
was
good
really
point.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fun to see.
That nice. It was also great for my vid. Oh, thank you. This episode.
Gabs has a notable line where she says, protect the women and children. We see
Right.
what her priorities are even now
I
in this
hated it.
fight. She's being a badass, but it's in the service of protecting, not in kicking ass.
Right. Speaking of kicking ass, I loved when Xena was fighting the goons in between cat noises. You could hear like the sound effects of when she hits them in their heads and their helmets. It was like metallic hits. It was really, really fun. So we find out that Pompey and Caesar's filthy little civil war has come to Greece. And that's just where Xena wants it, apparently.
Which is weird.
Yeah, it's very weird.
That seems bad. It really causes a lot of damage. Like, the property damage is through the roof. The human cost, even worse.
When she said that, or maybe it was when we see the camp, the music cue is Caesar's, like, But it had like a little underscore of what I think is Pompey's little theme.
That's
It had like a little
cool.
trumpety, like similar thing, but so that you feel like there's two of them there.
I would not put that past Jolo,
Yeah,
which
Jolo,
is what I
yeah.
call him, to have a Pompey score that is similar,
Yeah.
but different. To
I thought that was a really nice
Yeah.
touch.
I have to say, the music in this episode in general is just fantastic. We'll highlight our favorite
Right.
bits of music as we go, but there's a lot of new stuff here, and it's really memorable.
So we get a little bit more of Flan and his family. They haven't seen each other for 2 years. The first thing he does is like hang out with his kid and a fishing rod.
That's how you know his kid looks up to him.
That's how you know that Rob made a note.
Rob's like,
Flan loves fishing,
It's
and all he
true.
wants is to be a fisherman.
oh, and I'm sure Rob wept many tears. The plight of Flan, who does not get to fish.
Oh, it's so difficult.
But that's nice. He only joined the army to get the money for the boat.
Yeah.
That's nice. This is an important. I feel like for the end and such.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
And this
definitely
is-
important just in general to explain a Greek mercenary fighting for Caesar. I mean, and honestly, Xena in like the next scene or whatnot, she's salty to him because of that, and I think that's legit.
But also a bit hypocritical, because she, back in the day, was like, Caesar, you and I are going to conquer the world together.
Well, listen, that was Xena 10 years ago.
Yeah. She's made better choices since, and she wants the same for Flan. And in Flan's favor, he defects immediately. He's just like,
Yeah.
okay, they tried to execute my family. I'm done with Caesar. I do love, yeah, you're right, that the fact that he all he wanted was this boat. There is
Yeah.
something just immediately tragic about this story. Like, he entered the cycle of violence, and now he can't get out. And all he wanted was a boat.
I know.
Well, to take care of his family, don't make him seem so crass.
We already took care of Crassus.
So not pompous.
Not pompous, no. I did love Xena or Lucy's acting choices when she was talking to Flanagan about his soldiery ways. I thought she did a really, really good job. There's a lot of like shots of just her listening to him, and so she's not saying anything, but there's just a lot of reacting happening with her face that is very good.
She gets it. I do like that, yeah, even in this opening scene, by the end of it, like, she's joking with him about his
Yeah.
uniform.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, it's just the uniform I don't like, but we need it, actually, so ha ha ha, we're friends now.
It's weird because isn't it just a Greek uniform or no?
I don't know. All the uniforms on Xena basically
Are
look
the
the same
same
to me. They all have that same leather pleating and kind of the molded breastplate. Like, it's so important to this episode that they need to wear this deceptive uniform to
Right.
confuse
Yeah.
both Pompey and Caesar.
Yeah. Well, he says like it's the uniform, like
Yeah.
specifically, isn't it?
Right.
To her, so maybe it is a.
But they can tell that he's a mercenary. Like the centurions
I
can
don't
tell.
know.
It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
He looks Greek,
it's
I guess.
enough for
Okay,
him
yeah,
to be
sure.
associated with
Yeah.
Caesar.
So Xena wants Caesar and Pompey to quickly burn out on the battlefield and then like go back to Rome.
Yeah, she thinks that would be what would happen. If she can just get as many of their troops killed as possible, then they'll leave Greece alone.
And we find out that the cliffs near this village are being held by Pompey's men because Flan is obviously concerned about the village and his family and whatnot. And I loved Xena's response where she was like, "You'll have to deal with that." Like, that was very good.
She's a tough taskmaster. Is this where we meet Temecula? Timmy?
Timmy, maybe we should just call him Timmy.
And afterwards, they talk about. I feel like before we get to Gabs and her little
Boyfriend of the week?
not boyfriend.
Yeah, not boyfriend.
He has that good line about like how he came back, or when he came back, he didn't want to talk about war ever because he didn't want his son to know about it.
Flan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that because he wants his life to be peaceful, which that part has the like back and forth to like the wife swinging the kid around.
Oh my God, that
and
was so
stuff. It's
weird.
it's like this idyllic thing, you know. You're talking about like the
Slightly
war, like
awkward.
intruding on their lives and stuff.
They've just been threatened by a troop of soldiers, so it did feel slightly odd that now it was playtime. But I did think it very meaningful that you see his son playing with the little fisherman's pole, that that's his toy. In the same way that we remember Solon had the sword, that was his little boy toy, and that made Xena upset. Like, why was Solon playing with this instrument of war? So I think Xena can definitely sympathize with this idea of, don't look up to your dad for being a soldier. Like, how do we make war a thing little boys don't aspire to do?
Why is it men always think war is a simple solution? Let's find out. I don't know.
Timmy.
He's
Sweet. He has a nice little face.
He does, and the long floppy hair.
He looks a little bit like Jason Ritter in the face.
I see that. I see the Jason Ritter.
Yeah, the floppy hair points to boyfriend of the week.
But like our previous floppy-haired guy from Tsunami, he's not. He's actually not the boyfriend of the week. He's a kind of mentor. What the opposite of mentor?
He's baby Gabrielle.
He's a mentee.
He's a baby Gabs.
Yeah, baby Gabs analog.
Yeah.
And he has super good sharpshooting abilities. He's like, he does the William Tell thing where he shoots the arrow through the apple, and Gab sees him do this and says, "That'll do."
Well, the thing is that they are looking for volunteers to help them in their army, basically, that they're setting up right now. So Xena sent off a guy to like neighboring villages to like try to find volunteers. And
Gab sends off the guy.
Oh, sorry, Gab does.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. And Timmy is volunteering. He's like, I want to help, and but he says that he's never killed anyone, and that freaks him out. And so she's like, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. But he's like, but this is my village, and I really want to help. So she's like, okay, fine. Like, can you shoot? He proves that he can. And so she's like, all right, fine. We need people to send signals to the army. So
and
like,
it turns out to be really important.
Yeah,
we
you
see a
can do
lot
that.
of signals throughout this episode.
Yeah, I do like that she gives him something to do, but the something isn't about jumping into war, which she tells him that she has seen.
Yeah. In the same way that Xena originally, when she met Gabrielle, started empowering her with little tasks, like helping with the medicine,
Right.
trying to get her involved while sparing her blood innocence. She's trying to do the same to Timmy.
Now we're in Caesar's camp, and we meet Brutus number, what is this, 3 now?
Yeah,
officially?
this is
like
3.
one played Brutus twice.
Yeah,
so,
but there was a second Brutus
so
between
this is
them.
3. Yeah.
Brutus the third.
And Caesar has outlined his plan. So they're burning all the villages so that Pompey's men don't use them, and then it turns out that Pompey has more men, so it's like a problem for them. And also, there's a hill over there. It's so not important.
And
don't
so-
look at it.
yeah.
Don't even look at it.
And I love that they're like, should we do anything about that hill? And Caesar looks at it and he's like, no, can't do this with it. We can't do that with it. We can't do that with it. It's worthless.
Stupidest hill.
Good conversation.
You're like, I think the hill maybe is going to be important. I don't know.
I love how Caesar's holding his helmet in one hand and it's just so tall and red that like my sister was watching this episode with me and she was like, is that Elmo?
Elmo?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Holding Elmo
Yes,
in one hand.
absolutely. So Xena's collecting uniforms that look like Pompey's soldiers, right? That's what their weird uniforms that they're
I think it's
making,
meant...
or
that-
all this.
Yeah, it's meant to look sort of...
generic uniform.
She's hoping that Pompey's army will mistake this armor for Caesar, and Caesar's army will mistake it for Pompey, in the same way that she's going to make this really fun battle flag.
Yeah, they're
Right.
looking from a distance, so
From a distance.
Yeah.
they can't tell from that far away.
Yeah, all they can do is tell by the banner, so... Very clever.
So she
of
can still
Xena.
wear, her outfit normally,
Yeah.
but with a hat and a vest.
What did you guys think of how both Xena and Gabrielle looked?
Well, I
in
think Gabrielle's is important, but Xena's is just funny.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, both of them looked a bit funny.
Well, Gabrielle's is more thematically important,
Yes.
I feel.
No, I mean, obviously it's very thematically important, and seeing Xena in it kind of sets up having Gabs in it being so important.
I mean, we're used to seeing Xena in funny hats at this point. I thought the weirdest part for me was seeing her little, like, skirt from her own uniform kind
Collection.
of, like,
Right.
sticking out
Look,
from under there.
she didn't need another skirt. It was like, yeah, just go with it. I like that it felt kind of cobbled together.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to look cool. Like, I was kind of mentally comparing it to Xena's
Caesar
look-
and Pompey, who look cool.
when fates collide.
Oh my god,
You know,
don't
when
talk about that episode and her Luke. It's the best.
We are eventually going to see Xena go full Roman, and this is not it.
Don't. I need a cold shower.
But yeah, I mean, she's pulling it off, like, slightly more, although it is a funny
Yeah.
hat.
It fits
Like
her
it's
more.
they're funny on everybody. Like
Yeah.
excuse
It's
me,
not
they're
good.
just funny helmets. I know you love helmets.
I
Vera.
love them. They look
They're
cute.
just a thing that
I mean, they
people
could be
have to
better.
wear
let's be
I
real.
also thought all the skirts were a little too short.
for all the
For
men.
men,
For everybody.
this episode had so many knees.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I just saw way too much leg in this episode throughout. I was just like, I'm done with legs. No more legs, please.
But the oversized helmet and stuff on Gabrielle, I think, is actually very important to how it feels like this dress-up situation.
Yes. Yes, I think it's meant to look awkward.
Again, I mean, I know we're in season 4, and we're really in the thick of it, and she does not look like a baby anymore. If you go back and like watch like early season Gabrielle, you're like, holy shit. But like, there's like a childlike quality to it, which is interesting. Like,
It reminded me of when Pippin and Merry dress up in armor in the third Lord of the Rings movie. Like, that sense of, like, wrongness.
Yeah, it doesn't fit. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah. You just go, no, oh my God, how could you do this? No.
And I love her braid sticking out.
Yeah, super cute.
No.
So Xena gives a rousing speech to the villagers. She climbs up on this wagon, right? Some kind of platform, and talks to the whole village and basically says that they have to destroy their village.
This
Vera,
is incredible.
Did this remind you at all of when Callisto makes Xena talk to a random village about Syrah?
It does now.
Like the staging of it?
Yeah, just the staging. Xena standing in the middle of
Yeah.
the square, kind of everybody looking up at her. And then, of course, the fact that actually it's almost like reverse Syrah. She's saying,
Yes.
hey, villagers, burn your own village down,
Right.
you know?
Yeah,
Like-
I mean, certainly the weight of what is going on in Xena's brain is very visible here in the following montage and
yes.
everything. So it's a really great scene. I feel like something that we haven't really seen before
Yeah.
on this show.
And I love Gabrielle didn't know this was a thing because like the first thing that you see after Xena's like burn your shit down is Gabrielle whipping her head up being like meh.
And I just loved Xena's line delivery. Lucy's line delivery. It's always one and the same. But, like where she says the only way and then she repeats it. It is the only way.
She's convincing herself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The other really fascinating bit of this is that after you get through the village extras literal shock, like, you have Amanda
Lady.
lady
No gallon.
No gal.
no gal
No gal.
wife of Flan pick up
The torch
the
thing.
torch thing.
Like, yeah, there's
and
a stick.
she's the first one and she goes and just burns her house
Yeah,
down.
I like Lady. She's
Yeah.
pretty great.
That's a real badass move.
Yeah.
Like that,
It's so good. And
Kind
it's
of,
her
yeah.
own house.
Yeah.
She just goes without saying anything
Yeah.
and burns her own house down. And like nobody helps her. She just throws it, stands, watches, makes sure it's catching, and it's just like, all right.
yeah.
It's great. And yeah, I mean, this character doesn't get a lot of screen time. The fact that we have just kind of seen her like awkwardly playing with her son and being like, my husband, yay, to then see her suddenly turn around and do this makes you go, oh wow, I care about this character.
Yeah, I do care about this character, even though I feel bad that she has 3 names,
Yes.
including Lady.
So I realize that the answer to this is because they didn't cast anyone else and that no one else needs to be a character, but she was the only one who spoke to the Centurions before, so it seems like she was kind of in charge of the village.
Yeah, they looked to her
in a way.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
You're
that
right. She's been a badass throughout.
Yeah, I mean, like her setting her house on fire just says so much about what kind of person she is.
And they don't even like stop to take anything out of there. They're not like, oh, my fave wallet.
That was interesting, right?
Favorite wallet.
The photo album. Xena did kind of mention that everybody was packed and ready to go into the mountains.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, good.
But
all the favorite wallets are already packed and on the carts, ready.
So this montage that precedes after she sets her house on fire is quite incredible.
It's beautiful. There's so much fire in this episode. That's intense for your sets to do, and it's all good.
forgot to mention that she also said that they need to kill their cattle and poison them.
Poison the
poison
meat.
Yeah, poison the meat. It's pretty hardcore.
But anyway, back to the fire.
But we don't even see either Caesar's or Pompey's army like occupy this land, or at least the episode doesn't make a big deal out of
this
that.
episode can't afford that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys read, but like apparently, like the first cut of this episode was like 20 minutes over.
Ooh, give it to me.
Yeah, where are those
I
scenes?
think there are some deleted scenes available on the DVDs.
Cool.
Oh,
So
all right.
check those
Check
out
those
if you
out.
want some added bits and pieces. I'll try to call out a few as we encounter them.
Okay.
For the most part, it's just like little character bits, like
Of course.
extra lines here and there. It's not like
Everyone's fave.
a chunk. Yeah.
Those are the moments that always get cut.
I
People
know,
get
it's so
mad.
frustrating. Yeah. Because I mean, when you think about it, they're always like, they're not about the plot. You know, they're
Yeah.
that extra little fat on the meat, and that's the most delicious thing.
Yeah.
It also says so much about your characters, so
Yeah, it's-
crucial
yeah.
things can get cut out.
It's the business.
Yeah, but it's rough. I mean, you can see how dense and ambitious this episode is, as just like When in Rome, where it's just so many characters, so
Yeah.
many plots and subplots. Like, obviously, like, you know,
Again, the
things
plot
get
did
cut.
take me a minute, but that's because I'm always very bad at like army tactics. I had to go back a few times to make sure I had the situation correct. Because I'm
It's
dumb.
very dense, yeah.
You need one of those things, you know, like
But it does a good job. It's just me.
they need the
Same.
map with the game pieces being moved around. That would help.
I guess too much game strategy, in my opinion. But
Let's talk about the slow-mo hair.
Back to
Oh,
what we need to
Before the
talk about.
slow-mo hair is another good line delivery.
Okay, never
We're
mind.
sad. But Gabrielle's like, are you sure about this to Xena? And she's
Yes.
like, yes.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's great because like she's right.
She's right.
I guess.
But it's
I
nice.
think.
It's always nice
I
to have
think she's
Gabrielle
right
being
here.
there, like, this is intense,
Yeah.
just so you know. Actions have consequences. You've
Right.
destroyed these people's lives and
Yeah.
you've made them, like, complicit in the destruction, which is thematic.
we are totally going to talk about the burning. But before we do that, I have
my
a
God.
question for you guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
So was Xena and Gabrielle were they intentionally looking for a village to kind of like do this to, or did they happen upon this village being attacked by these Romans and they're like, we're gonna help, and then because she already knew that Caesar and Pompey were like here, so
Yeah. We don't know. Like so many things in Xena, you never quite know how much of her plans are improvised or, how much of it is her being like, we need to find some people to use.
right.
Which makes her look a lot more kind of cruel if she's like, there's a village, they're in trouble, so they're gonna owe us one, and we can make them do what we need them to do.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Just saying.
I think it's that.
Yeah.
I'll put a pin in it for the conversation at the end, I guess. All right, so burning, it's happening, and it's
The
gorgeous.
slow-mo hair.
A slow-mo everything, man. Like, Rick, he is king of slow-mo. This
Yeah.
is it. Like, he comes in, he does, that's his specialty, and it's just so gorgeous.
And there's such a, like, again, you can't watch playback for this stuff. And especially something with fire. There's so many uncontrollable elements. Like, you point a camera at that, you don't know if what you're going to shoot is pretty. And meaningful. And the fact that they got so many of these moments where you're just like, your heart stops. It's just so beautiful. Like Xena's face with the light behind it, Gabrielle slowly turning, and the way the like fire catches in her eye, just like all these tiny details that you're just like, whoa, like you caught this on camera and it looks fantastic. I think the production values for this episode in general, even if you don't count like all the fireballs and the seemingly many hundreds of extras like in uniform, like it just looks like a movie.
Yeah.
I know you hate that, Katie, when we praise things by being like, it looks like a movie, but all that means is it looks like it was made with a lot of money.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
movies have.
Yeah, and
TV doesn't.
I think a while ago I said I'll allow it for Xena because this is like we're still like pre Lord of the Rings, even with New Zealand, and like this is TV's like just in the 90s becoming really gorgeous.
Cinematic is the
Now
word.
it is not allowed.
Yeah, now TV
But you
has
can say
a
it.
huge budget.
for
Well,
this.
people just, like so many words, it's misused. Like, I think if you use it purely to literally describe, this is when the production values of television were beginning to match what people were doing in cinema.
Yes.
Yeah.
So besides throwing praise hands emojis at Rick Jacobson about this, is there anything else to say about this scene?
We could praise the editor, Jim Fryer.
Ooh, nice.
For just, I love all the transitions between like the burning wrecks and then Xena and Gabrielle standing. Like if you look at it, like the geometry of it is very nice.
Yeah.
You'll see like them kind of framed in like the wooden beams.
Yeah, everything's perfect.
It's real good. Like, I mean, the sequence goes on a long time, almost to the point where you're like, wow, is the whole episode going to be like this kind of sad, burny fire with good music by Jolo. Excellent.
A little bit.
Yeah, and it is. Yeah, this episode this is what it's all about, is destruction, and then Xena and Gabrielle watching it and feeling both complicit in it, but also, like, helpless in the face of it.
So Xena and the crew are in their new outfits, and after the village is burned, they're ready to go with the plan. So they take their little banner, and they go up on that useless hill, and they stand there with the banner.
If you, like, look away for 5 seconds, you don't see this flag. And I'm telling you that happened to me. And then it's a good thing I watch things more than once. Because I went back, and I was like, oh, it's got 2 sides.
Two sides. All right, well, you heard it first, guys.
This is good because that's, that's requiring your attention. And
no second
storytelling.
Screens. Yeah.
Yes, no Twitter.
Yeah, no Twitter while watching Xena. That's it. So they stand there on that hill with their flag, and suddenly we're in Pompey's camp, and he gets a message that Caesar's dudes are up there, and he's like, what the fuck?
Like,
that's a useless hill.
It's such a useless hill. Why would anyone give a shit about that hill? But wait a minute, apparently Caesar gives a shit.
And if Caesar gives a shit, I give a shit.
I want that hill, says Pompey. He's really, I forgot how good Jeremy Callahan is at milking lines.
Oh, yeah.
It's so much
he's
fun.
Really extra in this episode,
he's super extra, and it's great.
Yeah.
We gotta say that this whole hilarious ploy of Xena's with the double-sided flag, it's a great just like send up of war. The fact that if you see your enemy's flag on a hill, this piece of cloth on a stick, you're like, okay, men, you're gonna give your lives for that. Go. Like it's so
That's
dumb.
why capture the flag is very deadly.
Yeah.
So he orders the regiment that is guarding the hill, like the cliff pass, to go and investigate what's going on over there on that hill.
Which leaves the cliff pass
free, so now the villagers can go into the mountains.
Their wallets.
Yeah, the wallets are safe.
Oh,
the wallets are safe.
Relief. Xena, meanwhile, does this ambush where she takes their catapults, the artillery of Pompey's troops.
That's cool.
That is cool. They have a little fight.
And then Caesar arrives and discovers that the flag has 2 sides.
This is definitely the shot where he like picks up the flag, flips the flag over, and then says, Xena.
Who else would it be?
I mean, it's so sneaky, and it's clearly someone who doesn't give a shit about Rome, all the Romes.
This is before or after her like smirk. She's such a good smirk, like Caesar smirk.
And then Pompey finds out that a tall woman has taken all their catapults, and he's like, Xena.
An incredible tall woman. She's the only tall woman in Greece.
So we have an interesting scene with Nagel and Amanda Lady Wife and Gabrielle, and they're doing they have a field hospital going.
Yeah.
This is cool.
It's always nice to see. And I think Lady even remarks on like, oh, I can tell you've done this before. Just absolutely. Gabrielle is so good with like getting everything ready in the field hospital.
I like that she called war a monster that needs to be fed. This is Lady, that is.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good...
A good description.
Yeah. Especially because this is literally dealing with, actual monsters in this land.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
War is the worst of them all.
Actual monsters? You mean like Hercules monsters?
Yeah, this is the same universe.
But like, you don't think about that because they're not on Xena.
I do. Yeah. I think about it.
I mean, like, an episode like this is
get it.
Like real world.
Yeah.
I mean, they dealt with giants.
Yeah. It's been so long.
Gabrielle was a baby then.
I saw some commentators being like, oh, Ares is somewhere just like rocking out because there's so much bloodshed and death. And I was like, I didn't even miss him.
Oh my god, can I just say, literally you mentioned it and I go, you know what? This episode is amazing because there is no Aries in this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I
do not
agree.
miss
This
him.
is one of those moments where it's so much about a human conflict.
Yeah.
But I think to take that mythological step back and be like, oh yeah, also there's this god who's like, yes, fight.
But that was so good in Wonder Woman though.
Yes.
Although
that's different.
Although
okay?
that Aries is way worse.
He's so much worse. He's such a video game monster. He's literally God of War, that video game.
Anyway, Gabrielle and her war experience coming up in this scene where, like, Lady knows that she's done this stuff before, and Gabrielle's like a couple of times.
Right, but this is she's talking about like field hospital stuff. Now Timmy enters and they have a completely different discussion about like warrior stuff. He's basically saying how Flan is like a dad to him and he loves Flan so much and he's wondering if Flan's okay. And Gabrielle's like, yeah, of course, he's with Xena, which is really great. And then Timmy is asking Gabrielle what it's like to kill a man, basically, because that's really heavily on his mind.
And what does she say?
It changes everything.
Everything. Where have we heard that before?
Several times, I believe. Why don't you tell us, Katie?
Well, the very first time is in episode 3, Dreamworker, which is where the writer of this episode, Mr. Sears, has started all of this. It's that hilarious scene where Gabrielle is just beaten up on a tree stump, like wanting to learn how to use a sword, and is just very naive about what killing is. And you have like Xena kind of coming in being like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Xena says, like, when you pull a sword, you have to be ready to kill. And at this point, this is episode 3, Gabrielle's just like, I don't want to learn how to kill. I want to learn how to survive. And that's when Xena's like, the moment you kill, everything changes. Everything.
And that's kind of prefiguring that speech she gives at the end about the rock in the pond.
Yeah.
Forever changed.
And now we're kind of way past that with Gabrielle, right?
She, in Deliverer, also echoes these lines.
Everything changed, everything, yes.
Yeah.
The last line.
Right, they're in the ruins of that Dayhawk temple, and she says, everything's changed? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So...
Gotta always do the second everything.
Yeah, sorry. Everything.
Yes.
All 3 of these episodes written by Steve Sears. It's great because there's so much, like, he is just so aware of, like, where things stand with the characters.
Oh God, When in Rome with
Steve.
Steve, yeah, see? And which is, we also talked about being kind of like her stone under the water metaphor with dropping the ring in the ocean.
It's just always there, like all of this stuff. It's incredible that he continues this continuity, like in all of these episodes.
Yeah, and it's not just like harkening back, being like, look, I said the thing that was said before. Look how smart I am. I remember this. Each time it means something different. Like he's continuing.
It's a progression. Yeah. It's just really fascinating, yeah.
The shots of Gabrielle in this scene are really beautiful. The close-ups, there's a sort of misty light behind her. Really sad looking.
It's a good scene.
It's a good scene. Good job, lady.
Also bad now.
Yeah,
Lady and Timmy. I mean, yeah, I do like that we have these characters who sort of see Gabrielle in. You know, the lady who's sort of, like, Gabrielle's been in her position, like, with Xena going off to war and Gabrielle waiting, you know, like, behind in the field hospital being like, how's that gonna go? Like, we've seen that in The Price. And then also Timmy, you know. Yeah, I like that. And then you have Flan, who's sort of a bit of a Xena figure in that he's, you know, caught in the cycle of the violence.
Yeah.
And, you know, even if he did it originally for the right reasons, there's that sense of, like, it always goes wrong.
So Brutus reports to Caesar that Pompey may be doing overtures towards Xena. An alliance may be brewing.
Is this when Brutus comes in being like, Caesar, there's a problem?
Yeah.
And Caesar's like, don't say the P word in front of my men, Brutus. God.
Yeah, and in the back, you see Xena being brought in by Flan, like, as if she's a prisoner. And she kind of, like, sneaks behind the tent and cuts a little hole and is spying on this conversation.
Little glory hole in Caesar's
yes,
tent.
Absolutely. The P word, yes.
What?
And yeah, and Caesar's like, he says his plan, and then he's like, and then I have a secret other part of this plan. And then Xena's like, oh, what is it? What is it? And he gets interrupted.
Oh, boo. Commentators on, now I can't remember if it's Whoosh or Xenaville, maybe both, pointed out that Xena had a choice here. She could have just let Flan, to be executed and heard the rest of the plan. It's clearly crucial, whatever Caesar's secret plan is. She could have stuck it out and listened, but she chooses to save his life. She chooses him over the greater good in this moment.
Right. So, yes, that is what the interruption was, which is that Flan got caught.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Sorry, yes.
He is going to be executed now. This was also really cute because then he later says to Xena after she rescues him, by slitting the dude's throat.
Oh, it's hardcore. No, it's not slitting.
Sorry,
it's just breaking
his neck. She later says,
yeah, there's gonna be a really graphic.
Whatever. She kills this dude. It's not even knock him out.
Nah.
She fucking just kills him.
Xena doesn't fuck around.
Yeah, but Flan says that he's like, oh, I saw this dude coming, and I thought that it would be better for me to get caught than you, and it was really sweet.
And she's annoyed by that.
Yeah, because she was like, I can take care of myself. Oh God, Flan, don't you know me? I'm Xena. But she's touched by it too. It was really nice.
Flan is a good dude.
Yeah.
Maybe hear the outweighing of letting this dude get killed versus listening to the rest of this plan. In this moment, you kind of feel she probably still thinks that she can figure shit out. It's not the end of everything, the situation.
And she basically does.
It's
true.
Can I just say that when Xena snaps the neck of that dude who's going to execute Flan, she has a line, but this is the only line I'll allow ever on this show.
Okay, great.
Because of her delivery.
Okay.
Which was so good, and she just says, war's a bitch.
So do you have a problem with her saying bitch?
No,
I
like this line. I thought her delivery
and
this line were the only time that you can have a line.
Oh, I see. Just lines in general.
I hate lines.
Yeah.
I hate lines too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean that sums it up, doesn't it?
I hated how on the nose it was. Exactly.
It was very on the nose. But she, it was maybe as if Lucy herself didn't want to be saying it, and her delivery of it just was perfect.
Okay, so from now on, we want Lucy to deliver all lines as if she just really does not want to be saying the lines. It's the only way lines work.
And just because it was so violent, the violent aspect of it too was okay. Just something about this moment, while yes, we all hate the lines, transcended the fact that this was just a line.
I mean, I think you're actually putting your finger on what my issue is with lines, is that there's something deeply disturbing about, James Bond and Clint and Xena, having this witticism after, before, during, while killing someone.
Yes. I mean,
it's messed up.
It's a large conversation about, I think, action as a genre on the whole. Just generally speaking. Especially in a show that's gonna really, really get into ideas about violence and has been a show about violence already, but especially this season.
Anything with Steve Sears.
It's still based on fun entertainment. So you're juggling the idea of
you're watching
fights and fun stuff. Hey!
A lot of times on Xena, the line is there to dilute the seriousness of the scene, right? So, and also a lot of times she says the line and doesn't actually kill anyone. And she just hits them and takes them out somehow. You had two lines with her versus Porcupine Monster, and she never killed him with that. She just whatever got out of it.
Yeah.
Or that time in The Greater Good where the dude's gonna rape her and she says a line and like hits him, and she later does.
And that makes it less scary for us, the viewers.
I mean, she later does kill one of them, but like, you know, it's not the same. Like here, she came and snapped this dude's neck and said this line, and it was done. You know, that's it. That guy's dead.
Ouch.
So anyway, Xena takes Gabrielle aside to show her the overwhelming sight of Caesar's army. This is at night, and there's a shitload of campfires.
Do we call this a campfire scene just by association? Is this the campfire scene of the episode?
Interesting,
yes. The nighttime, the woods, sure.
This scene had a section that was cut out, which sounds really fun. Xena kind of gets Gabrielle to read the scene, to like look out at the campfires and say like how many men are on Pompey's side, where's the line, where's Caesar, where do they look weakest? And of course Gabrielle can do it and passes that test in flying colors.
Wow. That's a good moment. That was cut out.
What could we have cut that would have allowed for that to be in?
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
Put all the slow-mo in real time.
No!
Never lose the slow-mo.
That's one of those things, yeah, where it's like, that sounds really great, but however, like, you do know that she knows this,
knows,
so
yeah.
you don't really
I
need
don't.
it. You don't.
I don't.
You never will. And then that's going to be a thing we're going to fight about so hard in like a year.
Vera, you don't believe that Gabrielle has this knowledge?
I've never seen Gabrielle read a campfire before, like a campfire
She did it
scene.
in One Against an Army.
Yeah, she knows.
Xena comes in and tells her how many
and
fires,
she's like, this many dudes.
and
yeah.
Gabrielle does the
Right.
math.
Okay. So yeah. So she didn't. Wait.
Take that.
She didn't see that, but now she could do it herself. So it's like you would see her she has learned this skill, and now she's using it.
Sure.
I would like to see that.
Sure, Vera.
On the DVDs.
I would have taken out like whatever scenes of
Pompey.
Well, Pompey. No, like actually, honestly, Lady and Kid playing.
Oh.
But
Because
that's
you get
what are
it.
we
That's her child.
protecting?
She loves that child. We don't need to be like convinced.
But that's really her child.
Anyway,
Yes.
I get it. I think we know that Gabs has that skill.
No, only if you watch the DVDs.
Oh, we're gonna need a special episode in a year.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hilarious.
Yep. So anyway, this is where Xena tells her about Caesar's secret plan that you overheard, which is that he has a reserve unit sitting there, like in the forest, and they're gonna attack his special.
But Xena has some kind of plan for how to deal with that. She doesn't tell Gaz, but she's just
Right.
like, don't worry, I'm on it.
And she needs Gabrielle to lead.
Because Gabrielle both knows how Caesar thinks, and that's important because Caesar is very unpredictable, and everything he does is for a reason.
Right.
So she's worried that Flanagus will underestimate him.
Right, 'cause he doesn't know Caesar or Xena.
Yeah,
and
and
Gabrielle
I love
knows
that.
Xena.
Gabrielle
too.
knows Xena. She knows how Xena thinks.
Yeah, and Gabrielle refuses basically.
She says, "I can't give the command. I cannot lead these men to their death.
And what do you think of Xena's reaction?
I'll tell Flanagus."
She doesn't argue. She doesn't try to convince her.
But
She
is,
goes to tell, well, this is like later, but like she goes to tell Flanagus to listen to Gabrielle, and Gabrielle will be in command and you're going to listen to Gabrielle. That's what she says to him.
She basically ignores
Yeah.
what Gabrielle
Oh my god! So,
Yeah.
but does she think that she's just gonna come around?
I think so. What she really is, I feel like probably what she says to Flanagus is like, listen to Gabrielle. If Gabrielle comes to you with something, that's Gabrielle
trust her.
volunteering herself to
Yeah.
be in
I
command.
do
Exactly.
think that when she leaves this campfire scene, I do think she was disappointed.
Oh yeah, I think she was
Yeah.
hoping on some level that
Yeah.
Gabrielle would step forward.
Yeah.
I think Xena at this point, especially if you'd included that cut scene where Xena
Yeah.
tests her,
And I bet her reactions
yeah.
would have been like pride. She would have been so happy.
and then Gabrielle can't do it. This, of course, is very similar, just the dynamics of this scene, to their conversation in When in Rome, when Xena tells Gabrielle the plan with Crassus, and Gabrielle says, I can't be responsible for a man's death. She rejects Xena there. Xena gets way more angry and just pissy. And
She was very pissy in that episode.
Xena was very caught up in the whole Caesar thing in that
Yeah.
episode. Whereas here you feel like she's trying to keep that instinct on the down low.
But it's still there. Oh my
It's
god.
definitely
It's just
there.
so there.
She says she can't a lot in wartime. It's just she has something in the price too, where she's like, I can't do such and such to Xena. Oh, now I forget what exactly that it is. Turns out that a lot of times she can.
Yeah,
but-
I mean that's the thing.
Yes,
Whenever
that's the
Gabrielle
thing.
says, I can't do this, I can't do that, Xena's like, okay, and then goes out and makes the circumstances that will
Yeah.
allow Gabrielle to have to do it.
Right.
Which, I mean, sucks. I don't know if Xena is quite doing that
No.
deliberately.
No.
But there is a certain, there is something disturbing about the fact that Xena does seem to respect Gabrielle's decision here at the end of the scene, but then goes off and carefully paves the way for her to change her mind.
Yeah. I mean, this episode is really hardcore if you just rewind all the way to the fact that Xena, keeping her whole Caesar thing on such a down low, she's like, I'm totally cool with this. Let's just go to this village, completely destroy everybody here, just so I could do this to Caesar.
I wonder what the best use of Xena's time is in this battle. Is the greatest place for her to be in this hole with Caesar and Pompey?
No.
You know that the greatest place is for her to kill both Caesar and Pompey right there and then.
And then climb out of the hole and get back to business.
Yes.
You do feel like to a certain extent she is, you know, maybe she's not being as in your face about her obsessions, but it's hard to believe that they aren't still motivating her.
Oh
with
my God,
Caesar.
they're totally
Yeah.
motivating
Oh, yeah.
her. This is
And
so...
you know, the fact that she's like,
forever.
I want this fight to occur on Greek land, and I want to just decimate everybody. She wants to murder everyone. Like, hundreds of thousands of troops get killed here. And you feel like for Xena, it's about humiliating Caesar on some level.
Yeah. Because one time he really, really humiliated her.
And that's the greater good.
Whoa.
So think about that.
Shit. All right, so Xena meets up with Pompey in the woods.
Why not both?
And exactly. And Caesar shows up. So we have this great scene where Pompey only brought 2 guards. She killed them.
Oh,
and
it comes out with the 2 helmets.
Yeah, and then Caesar brings like a bunch of people. So then like a fight breaks out, which I thought was really well filmed. I mean, all of the fights here were really good. Just like there was shots of fire backlighting people fighting with swords. Like it was really cool.
Yeah, really wonderful. It's great because Caesar and Pompey, you know, can't decide who to fight. I mean, that's kind of every scene that you have Xena, Pompey, and Caesar in. There's a kind of triangle. Like they start insulting each other. Nobody's quite sure who they should be talking to, so they just like keep like firing insults this way and that. It's like a 3-way tennis match. It doesn't quite work.
Yeah, and Xena orders an attack, and we have Timmy doing his little signal, and the catapults her guys had stolen open up. So we have a surprise nighttime catapult attack on the Roman armies happening, and she's there in the woods with Pompey and Caesar, and they're doing their own thing.
This woods looked very jungly to me. And then you had these fire bombs falling, kind of highlighting the action as you're talking about, Vera. It made me think of Vietnam.
Ooh.
It made me think of like napalm and, you know, Apocalypse Now and all of that imagery that is immortalized on film.
That's really interesting to bring up.
Yeah.
These are like bigger topics I think that we're going to get into like slightly more later with Gabrielle like in the end of the episode and stuff. Just that because this whole thing is about war and the necessity or lack of necessity of it, and Gabrielle's whole journey this season and stuff, and like when is war like justified and stuff like this. But I do feel like here it is. But then there's that greater concept of like, is there a such thing as a just war? Bleh.
Right.
Anyway, continue on.
You got very excited for a second there, Katie.
Well, like Vietnam, like very much so if we're gonna like, go off on that tangent, being very much something that is not the same as when you're trying to go through these big topics. Like, was that something that was worth all those lives that were lost? Like, no.
I also think it's interesting to reference Vietnam when you have this battle between 2 great powers, Pompey and Caesar, taking place not on their home turf, but just on a completely other place, which is so common now with like major wars, is that it's between 2 world powers, but they go somewhere else where there's more disposable life and civilians end up getting killed. Right. So not to politicize too much, but this feels very relevant to
But these are the big ideas that like we're really getting into with this show. Yeah. So I think it's important to bring them up. Yeah, for sure.
So Xena and her 2 boyfriends fall into a cave and they spend the rest of the episode there.
I like this though, because I like the intimacy of these scenes with Xena and her boyfriends in the cave, and you know, cutting between that and the huge scale military conflict. It kind of reminded me a little of Star Wars, like how you'll have like the different threads in the climax, and one is really intimate, probably just a lightsaber duel, and then one's like a giant air battle, and maybe like a land battle too. And it's like you need that break sometimes where you're in a quiet space with just a few characters.
You know what? Let's just talk about all the cave stuff right now.
Cool.
There's a few scenes we cut back to while there's a battle happening. We don't need to do that. We can just discuss.
Get into
Yeah,
it.
let's get into it.
This three-way.
Yeah.
Yes. There sure is like quite a sex scene happening in that cave.
Oh my.
I thought. A fight.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dick swinging.
Xena's included.
Xena's dick is swinging
it's
too.
the biggest. Xena's is the biggest. So I thought that was such an intimate scene. I mean, they're stuck in this cave, and both Pompey and Caesar are attacking Xena, and she's like really giving back, and it's quite exciting for the boys.
Well, I liked kind of contrasting Pompey and Caesar's reactions to the predicament, because Caesar's very focused. He's kind of like, you know, whoever he's fighting, he's just like staring at them and like kind of trying to keep his cool. He seems maybe a little flustered by it, whereas Pompey's just loving it. He thinks the whole thing's hysterical. Whenever the camera cuts to him, you just see him with this big shit-eating grin on his face, being like, "Oh, look at what you've done, Xena. Oh, Caesar, ha ha ha," you know.
Well, it's interesting because Caesar and Xena literally have an intimate past. So, and Pompey has never gone to there.
I think he'd like to be included,
yes,
though.
he certainly would. There's a lot of sex eyes happening from Pompey, but to both, I would say, Caesar and to Xena.
What are your favorite lines these three bat around in these cave scenes?
Oh my gosh.
I actually like that earlier line where Pompey and Xena are talking when they're still in the jungle. Pompey's like telling Xena how he's debating whether or not to invite her to his coronation as Emperor of Rome. And Xena says, just like totally stony faced, like, "I'm not here to try on party hats." I love it. Yeah, but I feel like that epitomizes her relationship with Pompey. Pompey kind of always wants to deal with her. Like, he likes the idea of being in bed with Xena,
right?
But she's not having it.
That's when he says, and they say all the good women are taken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mer.
So this actually brings up an interesting point where when we did When in Rome, when Pompey was introduced,
we called him the ultimate bro
right,
back then.
like rich bro, frat dude from Harvard, I said.
Right, dude from Harvard.
Privileged man. And our good friend, listener Mitch, pointed out in a very fascinating way on Facebook that he read him as gay-coded, which blew my mind because I was like, what? But I totally didn't see that.
Pompey's gay?
Yeah, well, here, I just, like, couldn't unsee it. Yeah. So, like, his line of, you know, all the women are taken seemed so, you know, covering up his true...
Good thing I don't like
This
women.
was like specifically in terms of like villainy.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is a big thing with villains coded as gay.
Right. But here, I guess, like, in this intimate place, like, I couldn't help but see him... Like, his ultimate want was Caesar.
I mean...
I think that's true, yeah. I think Xena was the third wheel in this
In that
fight.
cave.
And, of course, she does, in the end, bail on it. And
yes.
they just keep fighting each other.
And why are they not both killed by Xena in this moment?
That's a very good question.
Why?
I mean, the simple answer is because that's not what happened in history.
So...
I saw people trying to answer this question by saying, like, you need to preserve them because as long as they're there, Rome will be in a state of division and chaos, fighting each other. So it's in Xena's best interests, actually, to preserve them, but to kill their armies.
But her line is like, I'm not going to kill you while you still have men on the field.
Right. But then
Or
by
armies
the
on
end
the
of
field.
it, they don't have... Well, I mean, she's left by then, I guess.
Yeah.
She leaves when they still have
Maybe
men on the field.
she just should have kind of been removed from the fight
Yeah.
without some kind of weird explanation for her, like, purposefully not killing them.
Yeah, I think this
Yeah.
is often a problem with Xena, is that, like, the show wants to keep her in charge so much that she ends up making these decisions where you're just like, what? Like, why are you choosing to do this, Xena? Yeah, if it had been more out of her hands, that maybe would have felt more logical.
So after Xena leaves, the two guys keep fighting, and I know this is like their last bit.
Oh, I love when she kicks them both in the face. Before she leaves, I just love that, like, bicycle kick, and she kicks them both.
I mean, that's how I leave a party.
Yeah. You find two men, and you're like, stand right there.
Don't move, guys. This is my exit. But after she leaves, they, as you mentioned, keep fighting, and there's all these shots of their swords sparking. It was kind of like a lightsaber duel almost. But at the same time, it was also like two gods with equal powers. Kind of like how we saw, I mean, this is really terrible, I'm sorry I'm doing this, but like when Hercules fought the bad Hercules, they had like the same powers.
Yeah.
Or like when Ares fights Callisto or something like that. They
Equally matched.
Yeah, equally matched equals like sparks. And it was very striking as an image, I thought. Just because Xena wasn't even there. You know what I mean? Like we were still with these two guys.
But once again, you feel there's something ludicrous about it. Like, why are these guys fighting? They're supposed to be friends. They're both on the same side, but
they're not. They're not. This is the
Roman
Civil
War. They're just going to swing their dicks around because that's what these dudes do. They want power above all else. There's just something pathetic about them in that little hole. They could be collaborating to get out of the fucking hole, and instead they're just like, no, we're going to fight.
Yeah, but then they hear that their armies are no longer fighting, so they're like, what? And then they do come out.
All right, maybe put a pin in that plot.
Put a pin in it, because we're going to see what went on with the armies now. So at dawn, the battle begins as promised.
It goes really well, and in fact, Timmy comes back to Gabs and Lady, who are folding the bandages, and is like, hey guys, guess what? We did super well, and now Caesar's army is retreating.
Yeah.
Gabs hears this news, and she's like, oh shit, that's the thing that Xena told me to look out for.
This is when she's like crushing stuff up and staring off into space, being worried about Xena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you should be worried. She's stuck there with those two idiots.
Yeah.
Right, because a retreating army requires the winning side to follow them, and that's also part of Caesar's plan, is he wants to lure Flan's army
into a trap.
Yeah. So Gabrielle now knows, I better do something about this.
Because she knows Caesar and knows he's too arrogant.
And Flanagus is already doing, assuming it's a retreat in earnest, and I guess they're falling back, which is the wrong move.
Yeah.
And so Gabs goes up to him and says, no, don't do that. Don't do that. You gotta go after those Caesar people. This is the part where the plot confused me, because I was like, going after them seems like what Xena wants, but then later Caesar's like, haha, if they go after them, they'll be in a trap. And I'm like,
but I think he meant like the ones that Flan was gonna lead. Like, he didn't anticipate anybody who knew how Caesar thinks be leading them.
We assumed that Gabrielle led the men in such a way that they didn't fall into the trap.
Yeah.
Like she was on top of the trap.
Right.
She knew the trap.
Yeah, so Flan's like, oh, cool. So before Xena left, she said,
listen up, man.
Yeah, this bitch is in control now, because Xena said so.
He kind of steps back. Like, he literally...
bows.
Yeah, he steps back and bows.
Yeah.
You're in command. And there's a dramatic zoom on her face. And her eyes are so green. I don't feel like I don't get to do that a lot because, like, as we previously discussed, whilst her eyes are green, they are kind of chameleon-like in different scenes.
I forgot they were green again.
So green and scared.
Yeah, she looks so sad. This was not what she wanted, but I feel like she's been put in the spot now. She has to do it.
She's in it.
It's like what you said.
She could be like, no, Flanagus, just listen to me. I've told you what it is you got to do. Go do it. She does it. She takes it. She does it.
It's a test day.
This is an insane test day.
The test days are the worst. We said we wanted someday to see a test day. This is not what we meant. This is not what we meant.
So she wears the hat. Katie,
do you want
to talk? We already talked about the hat.
This is Gabrielle with the hat on. It's an oversized hat. I don't know what good it's going to do if something hits her in the head.
No, the arrow would bounce
it
right
would
off.
bounce off. But it might bounce the hat off as well.
That could happen too,
So it'll protect her once.
Yeah, well, she can put
time.
it back on.
Yeah.
It's fine.
We're going to bring up this whole scene that I'm about to mention a little bit more, but I want to point out the shot of her in this battle, in this hat, in this scene. Gotta go all the way back to, is there a doctor in the house? And, remember, Marmax?
Why do you remember his name?
That's impressive.
Being a girl like that shouldn't be in a war zone after she's been injured, you know, and you have the whole Xena trauma of like bringing Gabrielle into this situation. Now you have her literally leading an army
with
into
a
battle.
sword.
Yeah.
Which is like shocking that she's like waving a sword
Does
as
she
she
have a sword?
charges. She does. She
Whoa.
does. Another deleted scene from the episode is that there was a wall here. You actually hear her say, "Let's take the wall."
So that's what she does say
Yeah.
though in the episode.
Yeah,
So
it's still there a little bit. So there's a wall they're taking.
Why did they keep that? Because they had to.
I guess
they
so. It
lost
was
the
her
wall
charging.
scene, but they couldn't lose that one.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Fuck."
So she's just taken the wall that is war. She shall take it. There actually was a wall. Once they take it, Gabrielle just plunges the sword into the stone of the wall and leaves it there. Like, I've killed this wall.
This wall is mine.
Yeah.
Remember when she was hitting the tree stump with the
sword?
Oh my god.
Wow.
Little baby's grown up.
So a lot of things is happening in this battle scene. We have everything's just very impressive. Let's just go with that.
There seem like there are dudes and horses everywhere. There's like these big, explosions going on.
The catapults are firing.
Yeah.
There's explosions everywhere. There seems to be so many men, which is very clever use
of their 15
yes,
extras.
Exactly. Lots of knees, as we mentioned.
So many knees. Yeah, when Caesar's reserve troops charge in, there's this great shot of them kind of running down the field, and you see the field as they run, and it's just dead people littered around. Like, it's already chaos even before the fight is over, and I feel like you really see that. Like, I love that this is choreographed not to look cool. It looks awful. It
came off looking cool to me.
I was like, this is cool. But I mean, it's not like cool tricks, There's obviously no kung fu. It's very grounded. And but
it was, this is going to be an interesting conversation. TJ versus Rick Jacobson directing a battle scene. I'm talking specifically about the end of episode 1 of season 4, right? The one that I didn't really like with the Berserker, but before the Berserker got there. So it's just the girls versus the dudes fighting. So that was all like static and boring and like just one shot this and that. Here is just everything looks really good. And
it really puts you in there.
Yeah, everything's like in motion. Everything like the camera is moving at times, and I don't know. It just all looked way more cinematic.
Yeah, it does.
And I mean, I know this plot is deliberately confusing, but it does a pretty good job of keeping you filled in on like the movements of the armies. Like certainly when that reserve force comes in, like they're the reserve. They charge, you kind of see the direction they enter the fight on. You know where Xena is, like that she's dealing with them, and that's nowhere near where Gabrielle is with Flanagan. So you do have a sense spatially of what's going on, even though it's obviously really confusing.
So that's the next part of this battle, which is Xena escapes from her cave and goes onto the battlefield, and her number one mission is to find Gabrielle. And Gabrielle is very busy doing her own fighting elsewhere, as you just said.
Yeah, but it's great you hear, like, Xena, like, in slow-mo, taking out people left and right. Slow-mo, slitting a dude's throat.
Yeah,
that part that really struck you, Vera. But then also in slow-mo, her shouting, Gabrielle!
Oh, my God.
It's so good.
It's really
it's such an intense face, so she does it, too.
Yeah.
The fury of it.
She looked great, so she had all these like scratches on her.
Oh yeah, there's one really like high on her cheekbone.
Yeah,
ooh, it looked good.
The arm one, I love
the
a good
arm one. She has like 5 scars at this point in that arm, that one spot.
It's just a good place for an arm.
It always looks good. It's like it's like just in like a nice like fleshy part where it's not really bugging her very much, but it looks great.
It looks great. And her legs are dirty or maybe scratched. Who knows? It all looks very good. And her hat is off, so it's extra good.
She doesn't need a hat.
Yeah, at this point, you really don't need no hat. She's just in her regular outfit at this point, isn't she?
She wearing the thing? The vest, I think, yeah.
Oh, I think she might have
I
out
think
of the
she changes
vest
back to Warrior Princess to meet Pompey and Caesar.
Oh, okay.
She goes in there as herself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
She looks so much better that way. She's vain about this stuff. Meeting the boys, wear your best duds.
So as this is happening, I mean,
Only
we're talking about the serious, like, climactic battle scene now. And we're back to our editor putting in the best overlays like ever to show you the horrors of war. So you have guys on fire, you have horses dying, more guys on fire, and all of this is again Xena and over Gabrielle.
Mm-hmm. And Xena, is like able to still focus, like as she's knocking people out of her path. Like the only time she seems unfocused is when she's, scanning the battlefield looking for Gabrielle.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Gabrielle just finally the chaos of this gets to her, and she just freezes, and you see that. You just see her standing there staring.
It's kind of like if you remember Purd.
Yeah.
In whatever village they were in, he was fighting and then he stopped.
He just froze.
Right.
Yeah, and Gabrielle herself froze memorably long ago in The Prodigal.
Yeah.
Like, this is another freeze, but on a much more massive scale.
Yeah, and so she's kind of standing there, and across the way, Flan is fighting, and a centurion comes upon him.
Flan is having a good time, it must be pointed out. Right before this centurion comes up to him, Flan has a big smile on his face. He's enjoying the violence. He's distracted.
But isn't he happy that they're winning? Like, that's what he's really happy about.
Yeah, he's enjoying it.
Well, so does Xena.
Yeah, she's always gritted, and it always feels a little inappropriate.
Now, were you happy? Were you happy to see your glorious centurion back?
My glorious centurion, who's very, very attractive, is about to do some bad stuff.
Yeah, so he is ready to take Flan out, and Gabrielle sees all this, and she's like, "No, there's a javelin." And she could throw it and stop this from happening.
Yes.
She does. Throw it.
She does. So this is kind of like what I do when I play beer pong, which is that you have the ball in your hand and you clearly see it going into the cup. Nothing but net there, kind of. And then you throw it, and in reality you see that it's 15 feet away.
Oh, no.
And then you have to drink.
Ugh.
So this is kind of
gonna drink.
what happens to poor sweet Gabs here.
So here we are in the thick of it. I love the slow-mo. I mean, obviously we've been slow-moing this whole time. It's been very intense and beautiful. Here it becomes this moment of contemplation for her where she's really looking at the javelin and the pointy end of it, and what she could potentially do with it. And then we see her like take it, pick it up, and throw. And she misses a lot.
It goes into some dirt.
Yeah. And her eye line is
so
way
different.
to the left that she's looking. It's so different that it's almost
very
like,
different.
well, what happened here?
Right.
Should we talk about that?
What happened here, you guys? What do you have a read? Do you think was it just a terrible Vera at beer pong accident? Was it her freezing up again in some way? Like she meant to aim it right but just couldn't? Like her arm didn't let her?
Well, here is a thing that upon rewatch of Is There a Doctor in the House, I find interesting in this moment, where when she's brought in, after she goes out and gets injured, there's a whole line about like the other soldier that gets brought in with her is like the person that I think stabbed. I don't know what the hell happened.
We don't know yet. Wait, what happened?
What happened was that she had a sword, he had a sword, and they had a close battle, like a very close to each other battle, very quick, with swords.
Right. This is obviously a different situation, but like the lines in that episode about this kind of similar situation where basically one of the guys is like, she should have hit him an inch lower. She could have killed the monster or such.
Monster.
And Xena says she knew that. That's why he's still alive. And then our friend Marmax is like, are you telling me that she'd rather die than take the life of a man she doesn't even know? And Xena says, Gabrielle lives by her own code. That code doesn't include killing. So here's some Babytown Frolics setting up of, all this stuff from the first season. We know Gabrielle's like pretty good at stuff. Even earlier in the episode, she was like deflecting that staff.
That's different.
I know it's different.
It's pretty skilled.
She threw that one time and when in Rome, hit that guy pretty good.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was her staff.
In her staff. So
In the butt.
In the butt.
I think
And
it's pretty.
question that.
I think for me here, like she wanted to do it, but it just didn't. Something made her not do it, but it wasn't like on purpose. She didn't throw it away on purpose. It just like happened.
So this is what you think that it's like what Steve Sears says, which is that there's a
I guess.
involuntary reflex that goes on when cops or whatever try to like, they want to take out somebody and they just can't because it's like, it means taking a life at the end of the day. So it's like their body involuntarily like jerks or whatever. I mean, this, she threw it like 15 feet away.
I wish it wasn't so far. I wish that the miss wasn't so wide. I could be because she doesn't. Yeah. What didn't he say something else like it was not her weapon? So like that's part of it.
Well, okay,
But-
hold on. What did you think, Olivia?
I tend to think that it was honestly an accident. Like, I just see it as her really wanting to do it, and she misses, because sometimes you miss. Like, I know that
Yeah.
it seems like a bad miss.
I wish
but-
it wasn't so
yeah.
bad. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like it was. I don't think she would have missed that badly.
I definitely didn't see it as a conscious choice on her part to miss. I can allow the Steve Sears explanation that on some level
I like his
she
explanation.
didn't want to hit, that physically, something, like, even if her brain made that choice, like, something in her couldn't
Right.
quite
I
line up.
like that explanation because I don't want her doing. I want everything in this season to lead up to the end of this season.
Yes. So
Right.
we don't want
Yeah.
it to be, we want her to be an active agent in this
yeah.
moment. We don't want it to just be like a terrible accident, but at the same time, to me that feels very real. Like sometimes you want to
Sure.
do something, you hesitate at the
Right.
wrong moment.
Well, that
and it
hesitation
doesn't happen.
could even be
Yeah.
what he's talking
Yeah.
about too. That like maybe that's a better word than like her subconscious
Yeah.
didn't allow her to do it, but like a weird hesitating flinch
To
at
me,
the
it feels,
last moment would
like
make
she
it
made
be
the choice, but
Yeah.
even after making it,
right.
Yeah,
I think that's what he's saying in so many words, different words.
I think it's really interesting that this is yet another example of a scene where so many different reads can happen because, and once again, I think it's really funny that, let's say the writer, producer, directors have one take on it, but like the actor has a completely
It
different
sounds like
take.
the writer and the director had completely different takes. Rick had her throw it that far because he didn't think she just missed. He thought she
Yeah,
that
but I mean,
it was a
but
deliberate
Steve
choice.
like that's what he also
Steve
agreed.
seemed to dial down the deliberateness of it.
Okay, but at the end of the day, like he
Well, this is all
on the same
about,
page.
It's a spectrum. I feel like all of our
Okay.
opinions are actually none of us are saying anything all that different, but it's just
Well,
the valences are slightly
Renee
different.
is saying something different.
Oh, what does Renee say?
And Renee is saying what I'm saying, I think, and kind of what you said, which is that it was her inability to use the javelin.
I like
And
that too.
there was a line that wasn't filmed, or was
It
filmed,
was
but was
cut,
cut, where
yeah.
she's like, if only you taught me how to use a javelin, Xena.
It's all
Is
your
that-
fault, Xena.
Really?
No,
Silly.
I don't,
Okay.
I'm not saying I need that line to exist. I'm not saying that
But
at
it
all.
gives you a little bit more.
But I can tell you when I watched this episode with you guys, and I obviously had forgotten like all the intricacies of the episode, my reaction and all of our reaction was just like, oh my God, like heartbreak, because we all thought that was going to connect with that guy. We all thought it
Right.
would, and then it was a miss, and the only way you can read that is that she just is not there that with her skill. She's
I feel
not
like,
there yet.
oh my God, why not both in this instance? Because like, again, I really, really hate how much that she missed. And to me, the only explanation for how much that she missed is that she really doesn't know how to use the
Yes.
like weight of the javelin.
No,
but
it's
like,
true, man.
At the same time, you feel like it could all be in there.
Yeah,
Like, you know
she
what I
could
mean?
have hesitation about it. She could not have the technical skill.
Yeah.
I feel like the killing instinct in and of itself is in a way a technical skill. She
Right.
didn't know how to
Okay.
connect that thought to making her body do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll allow that because it is definitely, you can't just deny the fact that, oh, she can use a staff, she can totally use a javelin. Like, she fucking cannot. That's a different weapon.
Right.
And it's totally different. And pins for the end of the season because that's going to be really important.
Right.
And you know it.
Right. When you got the instinct.
Yeah. When you got it all.
You're going to get that.
Yeah.
You're going to get that ping pong, right? In the cup.
Yeah.
You're going to get it, Vera. We believe in you.
So, poor sweet Flan definitely gets killed by Olivia's favorite centurion.
But then...
well, this is a really interesting scene because Gabrielle, in her horror, is watching this happen, right? She tried.
She failed.
She's watching.
He gets killed.
He gets killed. She makes eye contact and has a moment with the Flan's killer.
You get the sense that that guy's going for her next.
They're very far away.
He sees her, though.
It's more like... he did it, and he saw that she saw him do it, and there's like a moment.
Can I interrupt by saying I really love how she's like, and I know she's going to say his name, which begins with an F, but it sounds like she's going to say fuck.
No,
She was like,
just the same. It was like when she flew into the lava, and Xena said, Gab.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's
All
just,
right.
that's what his name starts with. It just so happens. So it is, but...
So Centurion is making eye contact, and suddenly there's an arrow right in his heart.
And this is great because the music stops. We've had this kind of like intense
amazing music.
Drum music, and then the drums stop, and instead we get this sad choral music.
Yeah.
As we realize that Timmy has lost his blood innocence.
Yes, so Timmy has shot that arrow. He has killed that guy. Now, here's another question. No, it's not a question. It's more like, if we go with Gabrielle definitely did not want to have her javelin connect with her target because she didn't want to take another life. Here's Timmy, right? He didn't have to wait that long. Both of them sort of waited so long because he didn't want to do it, and that both of them led to poor Flan's death here. At the end of the day, Timmy didn't really have to do it at all. Flan was dead already, but he did
I think that guy made eye contact with Gabrielle because he was going for her next.
He was very far away.
I think Timmy
Gabrielle
saved her life.
definitely could have taken him out with her weapons, for sure, in self-defense. I think it's very specific hesitation. Like, nobody saved Flan's life just because they both didn't want to go there.
Kill someone.
And then
their
at the end
fear
of the day,
led to a man's death.
Yeah, but they both did.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Someone died regardless, and that's what's so terrible about war, that even someone's desire not to kill can lead to death.
So Flan dies in Gabrielle's arms.
Her braid is so pretty.
She's very upset.
Oh my god. What?
She's very upset.
Uh-huh.
She's very, very, very upset.
It seems like a hard death. Flan gurgles and can't speak.
It's pretty gross.
It's bad.
I really love, so she's very angry and starts shaking him and screams, and the scream, I know we're done with the caves, but it cuts to the swords spark clashing. It's a good angry moment. Yeah. Good cut.
Well, that's the almost the God of War kind of situation there. As I said, Caesar and Pompey remind me of two gods in the cave there. So they hear that the battle has ended and they come out. There's just nonstop dead guys.
Yeah, this sucks for Caesar because he has previously to coming out of the hole, he's like, what we do here doesn't matter because Rome has won. Either way, Rome has won. And he comes out and he sees that both armies are gone.
Right.
Rome has lost.
Back to the drawing board.
I love his tone of voice there at the end where he's just like, well.
Yeah. He's like, we played and we lost. And then his final line is, this is just a minor setback, Xena. You can't change my destiny.
The D word.
The D word.
It's good. Well, in a season with a prophecy in it.
Yeah.
Leading up to stuff that you can't change is good.
Yeah, is good. And of course, there's some irony here because we, the viewers, know how Caesar dies. And we know that his destiny is not what he thinks it is.
Well, I mean, for a second, doesn't he get some of what he thinks he's going to get?
Yeah,
of course.
Of course.
A little bit.
He gets it.
Gets it.
Also,
running
Pompey
around.
is like, I'm going to follow you anywhere.
Right.
Caesar,
Hard eyes.
yeah, not gay at all.
Right. It's, yeah.
Guys, Xena's running around the battlefield, screaming for Gabrielle, looking for Gabs.
Yeah, she
It's
runs.
so good stuff. Yep.
She runs in on the big tableau there
Yeah.
of Gabrielle holding dead Flan and
love
Timmy
the shot
sitting
that-
there all crying.
Yeah,
Aw.
Xena sees from behind, like, of her just sitting there from the back. It's a really cool, like, looking shot. Just like you can
Because she's
see
just
her
surrounded
side.
by fallen bodies. She's the
Yeah.
only person sitting upright.
And yeah, I love the way she just runs up to her and like grabs her shoulders and yeah, kneels.
Yeah. Gabrielle explains, what went down, how they won and stuff.
Everything worked out just like you said.
Well,
almost everything.
almost everything. Yeah.
Ouch.
And then there's a lot of crying and cuddles. Katie, would you like to
What?
elaborate?
That's what happens. Yeah. What else? Oh yeah. So let's see. I do like when she's like trying to explain the stuff that she's still trying to explain her battle stuff. Where she was like, I have the men like out looking, and Xena's just like, Gabrielle, stop.
Yeah, she's trying to keep it
Yeah.
together, which I thought,
Yeah.
so like a leader that she's like, let me do business. I don't want to cry. I want to do business. No, I must cry.
You can see Xena's hand alternately goes on one shoulder and then the other shoulder, like, just like comforting shoulder rubs before, she finally does have that big breakdown. I think that it kind of starts, you can tell that she's about to start crying, but Xena kind of takes her hand and like pulls her head towards her to like kiss the top of her head, and that's when she really starts
Oh.
sobbing a lot more. And then there's a lot of you asked me
Continue.
if I should elaborate or if there's anything that I wanted to say. I don't know why you're like laughing and looking at me like that. Jeez. So then, like, the way that they like arm grab is really good because Gabrielle has like, she's like grabbing Xena's like arm and her upper part of her arm like twice for the support. It's good. It's good stuff.
This is really good.
Good
You
tableau.
do the God's work here.
It's good. I called it the dual arm grab.
Okay, so we have another instance of Xena singing.
Their one song she knows.
Yep. And because she's moved to do it. And there's funeral pyres burning.
3 of them.
Right.
I guess Flan and 2 other village peeps.
And everybody else just
And everyone
is left behind.
Yep.
And I really loved the setting of this. This was on a bank of a tranquil lake, let's just say. And there's some really great mise-en-scène here of the shots of Xena talking to Gabrielle with these really great lines that I'm sure we're going to quote in 2 seconds.
Yeah. First she talks to Lady.
Right.
It's important.
Okay.
Lady.
I'll get back to the mise-en-scène then. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Oh,
Lady,
okay.
what's that discussion?
Well, this is the war stuff.
Yeah, gotta finish this war plot. War is a bitch, you
right.
know?
Yes.
There, Xena goes and says to her that Flan gave his life for their greater good, basically for peace, so that their son would never have to know war or fear. What are we calling her still? It's the end of the podcast.
Lady.
Nogason.
Lady.
That's for sure not her name.
Lady says when her son asks, what his dad did, she's going to tell him that he was a simple fisherman because that's what he was to her, not that he was a war hero.
Yeah, and she won't say what Xena said to her. She will not give those words of comfort that he died for a greater purpose. For her, the greater purpose would have been being a fisherman with his family. So even though she doesn't say, like, thanks, Xena, but no thanks, I had the sense that in a way she was gently saying, Xena, your words of comfort are no comfort to me.
Yeah. This is such a complicated topic. It's huge because I think, it's Xena's not wrong. Lady's not wrong either. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Lady lives one kind of life. So I'm very sorry we keep calling her Lady. She's a
Nogglin.
very important part.
Or Amanda.
I know, it's so bad. It's so bad. She has a name, but I don't know which one it is.
Yeah,
so.
we don't know.
But, like, yeah, she and Xena just see the world in such different ways that in the end, even things that Xena, like, needs to believe in order to go on, and we're about to quote all those things in a second. Like, she's not speaking ladies' language.
So the mise en scène.
Well, why don't you say the lines?
Okay, so Xena then goes to Gabrielle. We won't describe what that looks like because Vera has
we can describe it. So this is a scene between Xena and Gabrielle. They're shot in like medium shots. I thought it was really fascinating that the background on Xena was the tranquil lake, and the background on Gabrielle was the burning fire.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it reminded me, the shot, Xena on the left, Gabs on the right, both in profile, Perd's funeral.
Right. Yeah,
where
and
Gabs
crying.
says
Gabrielle
she's gonna, bloody vengeance.
Right.
That was the first test of her blood innocence. Yeah, I think very striking, the visual similarities here. So Gabs says to Xena, I could have saved him. How do I get over that? How do you guys interpret that? Is that Gabs saying I missed on purpose or I missed by accident?
She's like,
oh, no.
if only you taught me the javelin, Xena.
I guess it goes either way.
It doesn't matter in this
She could
instance.
have.
She could have done something, anything different.
Because literally she's going through all the scenarios in her mind, regardless.
She made the decision and it still didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that sucks. It sucks to be like, I was willing to kill someone and instead my friend died. Yeah. Xena says, I think a very honest answer, which is that she doesn't have an answer. She can't answer. Nothing she can say is going to help. This reminded me quite a bit, actually, of their conversation at the end of A Family Affair, where Gabs was saying, I don't know my way anymore, and Xena just kind of acknowledges that. Like, I'm not your teacher anymore. I don't have answers. Like, we're just looking together. So here, I like that even though Gabs seems like she kind of wants something, like she wants help, Xena's kind of like, I don't know, same boat as you, babe.
Yeah.
So here's what Xena has to say. She says, you want to know that what you did was for all the right reasons, but with that pain in your gut and the weight on your shoulders, the best you can come up with is that it was a good day of fighting.
But she's speaking from experience. Like, this is just her life as a soldier.
Yeah.
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 You just got to keep going.
Right.
Take it day by day. That's Xena's advice. Is it adequate? It seems kind of inadequate for Gabs. Like that. Like I noticed that she starts crying. Like once this is set.
Yeah.
Like that's just so.
Xena does too.
Yeah, Xena does.
She's also crying by the end of this conversation. Yeah.
Because it's a terrible. What does a good day of fighting look like? It looks awful.
That's the contradiction in terms like what's the
awful.
good fight, right? This is the big questions.
It feels like an interesting commentary on the greater good, a good day of fighting versus the greater good. Here you're using good in this way where you're like, what the fuck? It's not good. Like, nothing about this is good.
No. And and now Gabrielle is basically going to go tell Timmy to try and comfort him with stuff that, she has previously been told that it's for the greater good and such, to make him feel like there was a point to everything. Because that's kind of what they're talking about here, that like there has to be some kind of point and reason to be doing all of this.
Xena goes on and says, and I think this is a really huge step forward for Xena, that she says, I've seen all these changes in you, things I never could have expected, but as hard as the changes have been, you've got to know that all this is happening for a reason, or else what's the point? I was asking myself that same question when I first met you.
Yeah.
What she's referring to there is Xena was going to commit suicide. Like, she felt there was no point, and Gabrielle helped her to see that there must be something. So I feel like even if neither woman here knows what that point is, like, Xena at this stage of the game realizes that she can't protect Gabrielle. Gabrielle's her own person. Like, she's obviously had so many moments where she's like, oh, like, I want to protect you. Like, I'm so mad that you're becoming this person who's different. And finally, I think here in this speech, she accepts the different. She accepts who Gabrielle is becoming and needs to believe, just in order to live with herself, that this is a good thing, or at least a thing with a purpose.
Right. And Gabrielle is going through said changes, right? And this stuff is beyond traumatic as an experience. I think this episode does a good job of showing you that side of things. this is why I was struck a little bit again, rewatching Is There a Doctor in the House? When like, and even when you go back and you hear the two of them say stuff about the greater good in like season 1 or whatever, you feel like they kind of have these like proto answers already, and then it takes them forever to like get back to
Yeah.
to
It's one
really
thing to
really
say
knowing it,
and the other
yeah,
to know
like
it.
the whole
Yeah.
show is them like saying all this stuff. Yeah, exactly. And in Is There a Doctor in the House, she tells that Artemis Deer story to that guy, and like basically has the meaning of life laid out. This little naive Gabrielle, before all this stuff, says that like basically life is to find peace with yourself and share it with others. And I think that like you're watching her go through this like really intense stuff about who she is and what she's willing to do and all this stuff about violence, which is why when she's about to encounter like stuff about peace and nonviolence very soon, it's all very, very interesting. And it's great to have this episode before that.
Yeah, this feels in some ways like the breaking point. She's gonna now go in another direction. She sees that future in which she could just be killing people in battle. And maybe this is a moment where she wonders if that's really the future for her. It seems like Xena thinks that probably is the future for her. I feel like this speech
Xena's
is
in a totally different
Yeah,
place, and she's a totally different person. So
Yeah. But that's why I was extra struck about this, back to the mise en scène at the end, because it just perfectly represented all these things that are going on with these two women, and also Timmy. When Gabrielle goes to talk to Timmy, he has both the lake and the fire behind him.
ooh,
Yeah.
this is so good. Yeah, because Xena is the lake with the stone in it, and
Yeah.
the stone here, I guess, would be this is kind of like.
But the fact
The
that she has
fire and-
learned to live with it, you know, and Gabrielle has not yet
No,
quite.
exactly.
She's a raging flame
She has
of
to-
emotions and a battle inside her. She is not at that point, and I guess like
Right.
you're supposed to assume that Timmy will.
Oh my god! This is the show. Like Xena's so far ahead of her
Yeah.
in terms of this stuff, and Gabrielle is in
Yeah.
it in the journey.
in the center of the flame.
Oh my god, I love it! Oh my
Yeah.
god.
So then the final wide shot, I think, is really moving. You have Gabrielle walking off to say this slightly inadequate, consoling speech to Timmy. I like that it's not quite centered. You have what could have been a very symmetrical shot: the 3 bonfires,
The 3 people.
you have the 3 people, the trees, the calm lake in the background, but it's all slightly off. Like everything is slightly not to center. So there's like tension in that shot, which I thought was really, really nice. It's this idyllic visual in some ways, burning fires not excluded, but like it doesn't quite read as pretty.
Right.
So I thought that was a really great final choice by Rick.
So one more thing that I sort of wanted to bring up, and I don't know what this means, it's just something that I sort of noticed. Any episode that deals with Caesar has had a sacrifice of an innocent of some sort. So if you go back all the way to Destiny, Malila was killed. In The Deliverer, Gabrielle was sacrificed. When in Rome, the next time we saw Caesar, you had Crassus.
Such an innocent.
Well, I mean, it was a sacrifice.
Yeah, he certainly
Yeah.
did he deserve that. We talked about it. There was some ambiguity in the episode.
And then finally here, you have Flan. And also, I
Everyone.
guess, Timmy. Well, I mean, I'm not talking about, like,
Timmy's
other
blood
No, I know.
soldiers.
I know
You know
what
what I
you mean,
mean?
yeah.
I mean, like, a specific
Yeah.
character that was created to
know.
be, like, the
Yes.
innocent
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
like, somebody who's going to die in this episode. So I think that's really fascinating. And all of the times that we do meet Caesar, or Xena does meet up with Caesar throughout this show, except for maybe the first time, you kind of go, is this Xena doing this specifically? Like, is she creating the situation and then people are being sacrificed as a byproduct of her one-sided kind of like need to take out Caesar?
You can't help but view Xena's speech there at the end to Gabrielle, where she's like, I see all these changes in you. They're so unexpected. I feel like the subtext there is I kind of like them. Like, they're convenient to me. They allow me to keep fucking up Caesar. Like, you're always there to help me kill the people I need to kill to get at Caesar. Like, I know that's a very, like, harsh judgment of Xena. That isn't what she means, but in the end that is what happens in these Caesar episodes, which is that Xena asks more from Gabs than Gabs is willing to give.
But
then
she made her have
gives
these
it.
changes too.
Yeah.
Again, she made her, or like she was the cause of her losing her blood innocence.
Absolutely,
in the
yeah.
first place.
Who's excited for more episodes in season 4? I could think of one.
So anyway, it was just something that
That's
was
it's
interesting.
really important, yeah.
Point to bring up.
And I do think Caesar and Xena are like funhouse mirror images of each other. Like Caesar is like the ultimate bad warlord
Boyfriend.
Xena. I mean, he's a bad boyfriend too. But you know, I feel like this is
Yeah.
what Xena could have become, and it's someone who does just like lay waste to innocence completely.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess that wraps it up. Unless you guys want to say anything else about this episode, it's a really good one.
Yeah, real good.
Yeah.
Good day.
Good day.
Good day for a good day.
All right, so you can follow us on all the stuff and things.
Yay! You can go to xenawarriorpodcast.com where you can find links to everything, including our Patreon page at patreon.com/xenawarriorpodcast. We are doing lots of fun stuff over there, so if you want to hear more, please check that out. And you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, all of your favorite podcast catching whatever things. We're on them. Please, if you are so inclined, take a sec to rate and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That's always really great for us. We are doing the tweets on the Twitter, which is at Xena Warrior Pod, and other posts and comments and things on Facebook and Tumblr, Xena Warrior Podcast. Go tell us your thoughts and, talk more about Xena over there.
The power.
The passion.
The podcast!